Welcome back to Sports on Tap. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio. And I'll tell you what, this place has been rocking here tonight. 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley. I'm Rob Traum. We have Josh Effie, Sean Duffy, and Ed Dick.
Well, it's the first real nice day we've had in the Cleveland area. That's not pouring rain or super cold.
First nice day in a while.
Right. Yeah, at least a week, right? I mean,
they're talking about snow, right? In tomorrow?
Friday. Yep.
And then next week looks like it's 70 to 76 degrees or something.
Or as I call it, running weather.
That's right. I can't wait. We're going to be running in the half marathon. I think next month we're going to have some running shows, I believe.
Yeah, definitely one for sure. But speaking of running, we're running between interviews here, and as we kind of wait for our next interview to show up, got to talk about the first two interviews. I mean, great stuff. About St. Ignatius hockey, great stuff about baseball, especially because that's the season. I mean, it's been opening day in the major leagues. Yeah. It's starting to kind of turn to spring, so where you see the spring, the baseball and things like that, definitely going to be fun to watch. So if you got a chance to go out and see some local high school baseball action, pretty cool, especially for younger kids. You know, everyone says, oh, you got to go watch the Indians. I always figure go watch high school players because you're more likely to get tips from those coaches and get in front of those coaches so you can maybe get better at your position, whether it be first base, whether it be catcher. My dad always used to tell me, because I wanted to be a first baseman, he said just focus on the first baseman. Same thing with playing offensive line in football. When you watch football or you watch any baseball, watch your position that you want to play so that you can see how they play it. And I've always said that's beneficial to anything because people observe and they try and imitate, and that's definitely something you can do on a local level. You get a little bit more access to it than spending the money to go to a Indians game or even to a Captains game or something like that. Go out to your local high school baseball game on a Thursday night or a Saturday night or whenever they do it, and take an opportunity to study the position that you want to play.
Yeah, and talking to Coach Relic, I mean, I grew up with Coach Relic playing baseball with his dad coaching. We talked a little bit about Bill Fry, the head coach of Brunswick at one point, and those guys really knew how to teach the game of baseball, and I think Grant's going to do a really great job. I thought it was a great hire there because he's been around the game for a long time. He knows what kind of culture they're looking for, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how Brunswick baseball does. Again, it's only 3 games into the season. This is new for him as well. So it was great to have Jake Williams and Brandon Kennick on to talk a little bit about their season and what they look forward to. And then Matt Wiegand, a defenseman for St. Ignatius hockey, he was the Ohio Player of the Year. Like he said, they went to the state championship a lot of times. He's a champion this year. Talking a little bit about his experience going through. This is what high school sports are all about. We're going to have Brunswick wrestling as they make their way over to the show. But
top 10 program in the state this year.
I know. What a great year Brunswick wrestling has had so far, or this year rather, and continue the show with more guests as they continue to come in.
You know what I love about when you see wrestlers, any opportunity they have when they're not trying to cut weight, they're always eating the good stuff, like ice cream.
That's right, man.
I really feel bad when we have wrestlers come over because they're trying to cut weight. So they're like, we'll say, hey, come to this ice cream store and just not eat any ice cream while you talk to us about wrestling. It's got to be like the torture for a wrestler.
What I'm interested in is to see what they say. Like after the season, I'm sure it's free time to just eat whatever you want. But before the season, you're wearing hooded sweatshirts, you're not eating, and you're running a lot. At least that's what I came in contact with when I was at the
Brunswick. And then our
Knucklehead
podcast says, hey, come and talk to us while sitting in the middle of an ice cream store.
I know. It's perfect.
Yeah, my bad.
That's
my
all
bad,
right.
Wrestlers.
Yeah.
How you guys doing today? Here, we'll go down the line. We'll just have you introduce us and just talk or tell us your weight class, your name, and what year you're in.
I'm Logan Howland. I wrestled a 120 this year.
I'm Aaron Naples. I'm a senior, and I wrestled 195.
My name is Kiussis. I'm a senior, and I wrestled 160.
My name is Tomas Casteneda, and I wrestled 138.
I'm wrestling coach Mike Koshar.
All right.
Who's the assistant over there? He doesn't want to talk.
That's Coach Mike Heil.
We'll
get him in.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do we get him to come in here?
Looks like a shoehorn or something like that.
Well, let's first talk to Coach Koshar. And Coach, what a year it's been. Talk a little bit about this season. We had you on last year. Again, you always seem to be successful year in and year out. Talk a little bit about this season.
This group is left over from last year's group. The three of these guys are seniors. This one over here is a sophomore. It's pretty simple formula for wrestling. You get out of it what you put into it. All these guys have worked, not just this year, but these guys have worked probably for 10 years. These guys here, and it's going to be 10 years eventually when he becomes a senior. So it's a culmination of blood, sweat, and tears over almost a decade, not just what they've accomplished just this year.
Wow, that's impressive. So how long, you start with the youth programs. How do you instill, these guys have been wrestling for, you said, 10 years. How do you instill that in the youth programs?
It's hard. It's definitely hard. Actually, they've wrestled for different youth programs, and that's a big success to a lot of these guys is they'll wrestle for different clubs, different organizations, and get a lot out of each one of those, and then they put it all together throughout their high school careers. And even in the summer, they'll wrestle for maybe some other teams or some other clubs and things like that. Actually, these three are going to go to a tournament in Virginia Beach with a team from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Logan just went this past weekend to a tournament in Pennsylvania for Flow Nationals, which was a national tournament.
Okay. Not a bad place to have a tournament at Virginia Beach. You guys are going to enjoy that, I'm sure. You guys talk a little bit about what you guys went through this season. What a successful season for each and every one of you.
Back to Logan and just say what you did.
Yeah, go ahead, Logan. Third in state this year. That's pretty successful. It's pretty impressive.
It wasn't as exciting. I was hoping to go higher, but it is what it is. I guess I'll be satisfied with it this year.
The man of few words over there.
Yeah.
This year I definitely got a quick start with taking second at the Ironman. Just kind of kept that up the whole year, and I wasn't satisfied with how I finished at the state tournament, but I'm definitely glad that I was down there 3 times and placed twice.
What kind of learning experience do you have from the beginning of the season all the way to the end? Are there different things you pick up as the season goes along watching other wrestlers? It's
definitely more of a kind of perspective of where you're at, and your conditioning just helps you get into those better positions later on in the season that you usually weren't able to get to at the beginning.
Okay. And Nick, here's the state champion.
State champion here.
It was a great season. It was really exciting. We had a lot of younger kids, so I met all of them and became really good friends with them too. So we bonded as a team throughout the year, and it was a great overall experience.
What, from the past seasons, you reached the state semifinal, or you reached the state final rather. What did you learn from those to bring into this season?
I just learned how to control my emotions, and I was able to deal with all the pressure and stress, I guess you could say, because I get nervous before the finals. I'm not gonna lie. So I was a lot more calm this year, and I think that played to my advantage a lot.
Okay.
I was a state alternate this year.
That's impressive.
Yes, pretty okay.
Everybody's pretty okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. Talk about your season. What did you learn from the beginning of the season? Moving through, what's one thing that you'd like to either improve on, or what's one thing you did really well this year?
Well, during the season, you don't really learn that. You pick up a few you perfect stuff really more than learn new stuff.
Okay.
And I was just perfecting of stuff, I guess.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And Coach, what overall in your team did you see from the beginning of the year towards the end of the year? You guys finished 10th in the state at the tournament, so obviously you had a very successful year, but obviously there had been some progress for an overall team going forward. So what did you see as far as from the beginning to the end of the season?
probably the biggest thing is we had a group of 6 seniors, but we had a ton of freshmen. And, the freshmen were really raw, really green, and not only did these guys help them, but the younger guys, even just watching these seniors at practice and how they handle themselves in matches, just that maturation of those guys kind of improved the whole team.
So you would say that the seniors then showed the freshmen exactly how to compete at a varsity level?
Correct.
From a conditioning standpoint and things like that?
From how to mentally prepare yourself, how to physically prepare yourself, how to practice like a champ, just all from start to finish. And even these guys here, they all have a different attribute. Tomas here was the state alternate. He's more of a finesse wrestler. Nicky Kiussis, you're just not going to out wrestle him. I mean, you're going left. He's already thinking that he already knows you're going left, and he's one step ahead of you. Naples is going to beat you just on strength. He's just a strong hombre, and that's how he's going to get you. And Logan's just going to outwork you. So that's each one of these guys have their own little attributes that puts them ahead of their competition.
Okay.
What are some of the you have your 3 seniors leaving here? Logan's coming back. Who are some of the other returners that you're planning on getting contributions from next year?
We got about 15 of them that we're hoping can step up. We have, I think there's 10 returners coming back. One of them is actually Nick Kiussis' brother, Tomas' brother. We had a couple other kids that have wrestled for us in the past couple of years. They have some brothers on the team now. Micho Miloradovic is one that's promising for us, and we got about another 6, 7 other guys that are going to try and make a name for themselves in the years to come.
And how many of you guys play other sports? Football, basketball, or not basketball, baseball? Just Aaron. Okay, so what? You played football, I take it. So when you came from the football realm, especially because you mentioned that you got off to a quick start, talk a little bit about the transition it took from playing football and going from that type of conditioning to wrestling conditioning. Because I did the same thing in high school, and I found it very difficult. Probably about 2 weeks after, for about 2 weeks, getting back into wrestling shape as far as to go hard for 6 minutes.
It's definitely a different kind of conditioning fact because during football, it's just a quick little burst of energy, you go. Wrestling, it's the whole 6 minutes. So kind of wrestling where I was at a higher caliber of just skill, I took weeks out of my football season where I would go, after football practice, I would go to a wrestling. I would go drill with one of my coaches. It's just, I personally think it's a lot more grueling on the body than football would ever be. Granted, football, you're hitting and doing all this, but I just think wrestling's a lot more grueling.
Yeah, and you sure took your fair share of beatings this year, and you also gave a lot out as part of the football team. For some of the other for the other wrestlers, how often wrestling's a year-round sport, I imagine, right? So, how often do you guys wrestling outside of the season, outside of the high school season?
I wrestle outside of the season probably at least 3 times a week, I'd say. In the off season, I usually focus more on freestyle, which is the different type of wrestling. So I mix in a little bit of folk style too, but it's more of a freestyle season. So I just go to different places and wrestle with their kids for some better competition. Yeah.
What about you, Tomas?
Yeah, like him, I wrestle 3 in the summer, 3 days out of the week. And I wrestle mostly folk style, but I learn a little bit of freestyle, but never really wrestled any folk style, freestyle.
Now talk a little bit about the. Go ahead, you can answer too. But when you get a chance, tell everyone about the different styles of wrestling. Because when you say freestyle or folk style, a lot of people out there probably don't know exactly what that is.
I'm more of a folk style, and during the off season, it's usually 3 times practice a week, and it's wherever I go, I am hoping to find more of a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, freestyle and folk style are a lot different. Freestyle helps you stay in better position and stuff because freestyle you score points off of exposure. Not so much it's not as much grueling on the body. You have to just turn them and then you'll get points. You don't have to hold them in certain positions. So it's definitely a great cross trainer, even though it's still wrestling. It definitely helps you get better in folk style, which is our regular style.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I never really competed freestyle, but I learned it, and it definitely helped me like transfer over to like folk style wrestling, like during my matches and stuff. Like I get that this year I gave up a lot less back points because of it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, are there a lot of places to go where you can wrestle, like around this area?
Yeah, there's Elyria, Brecksville. There's the Wrestling Factory. That's in Cleveland. So there's a couple different spots to go.
Okay.
That are pretty good.
Hey, yeah, so you guys have all made state at some point in your careers. How was that experience just overall? I mean, you guys, especially for maybe your first time there to your last.
Being like the first year there is kind of just like the eye-opening experience. You're in the tunnel and you're looking out to the wide open bright gym, and you're just like, I'm really here. Am I really here? Like, is this really happening? And just coming, that's when you're kind of like, sometimes you get like a lot of people you see get caught off guard. Like our heavyweight this year, he kind of even said it later on. He got stuck in the lights and he was like, whoa, this is cool. He was looking more at that. But coming to like second, third time coming to the state tournament, like you just know, like you can't let that phase you, and you need to perform at your best, and you can't focus on any of that to perform better.
State's my first time, which was last year. Was kind of like the biggest experience in my life because it's this huge dome that you're in, and like everyone's all around you screaming and cheering on everyone and all the wrestlers, and the only crowd that you really have is your own team. Throughout that tunnel, I saw all these 3-time, 4-time champions. I saw my brother, 4-time state champ in there. Yeah.
It definitely, the Ohio State tournament definitely gives you a reason to wrestle because the Ohio does it better than almost every other state. The setup and everything about it just is great. So the last 4 years were like pretty special to me, and especially in the finals. The finals, it's great. So it's just awesome to be able to make it down there 4 times.
Yeah, the state tournament is great to watch too. Like I saw the best of the best down there. Like Nick said, Ohio's like one of the best states. So you've seen all these nationally ranked kids wrestling, good wrestling, entertaining wrestling going on. It's definitely fun to go watch.
Now, Coach Koshar, you've as the season goes along, how do you know what individuals are going to put into it? I mean, you work with all these guys. How do you know what they can handle and what they can't when you are in practice?
In the beginning, we kind of tailor the workouts towards the group.
Okay.
And then probably right around the last half of the season, we tailored around the ones that we think are going to go the farthest individuals and just hope the rest can keep up.
Okay.
So it's just time to get the horses ready to run.
And see who's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want to go to the Derby without your horse, so we got to get those guys ready to go.
It's a good way to look at it. And now as the season goes along, do you guys watch film on other wrestlers? Are you able to do that, to watch film on wrestlers and then maybe change some of their moves to?
Yeah, I mean, these guys have seen all their opponents, their number one competitors several times, and a lot of actually all 4 of these guys have wrestled their number one competitors several times. They know us, we know them. You try and change your style a little bit, but for the most part, we're going to try and impose our will on them and hopefully come out on top.
Okay.
Coach, you've been, no secret, you've been around for quite a while.
Are you saying I'm old?
You said it, not me, Coach.
We prefer to say seasoned. You're a seasoned veteran of the wrestling
very
world.
much so. Thank you for damage control, because clearly I can't.
You're welcome.
I used to play for him. We're cool. Don't worry about it. I asked this of a lot of our coaches over the years. Since you started coming up in wrestling a while back, and as your career's progressed, have you noticed? Has there been any difference in style or any major changes that you've been that you've kind of observed over the years?
There's some technique things that have changed over the years, for sure. But as far as the sport of wrestling over the last 20 years, the good kids, the elite kids, these guys here are significantly better than the elite kids of the years past. And that's because the sport has become year-round, and you need to make that commitment. And years ago, you didn't have to make a commitment of wrestling 11 months, 12 months out of the year, and you could still be successful. Nowadays, you can't do that. So because these guys are putting in all the time, the sport of wrestling has elevated very much here in Ohio.
Obviously there's technique and fundamentals with this, but how much lifting goes into it per week for these guys?
We focus more on lifting in the off season, and we leave it up to them to do their lifting in the in season. Now, during the season, we'll do. You got to do so many ropes. You got to do so many pull-ups, so many push-ups, things like that. But his actual lifting, we leave that to do on their own. Some of them will do it on the week, like on Sundays. Logan went every Sunday and lifted. Naples lifted every chance he possibly could. Nick's dad is real big into lifting and nutrition, and so he trained actually Tomas and Nick with the weightlifting for their whole careers.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, how has that played a big factor into you guys with nutrition, and how tough is it? A lot of people, you got to stay in your weight class. You can't really go over it before the meet. How tough is that, during the season to stay in that weight class and not gain weight during the week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's over every Monday.
Yeah.
It was a chore.
It's super tough. It's like that's the other side of wrestling, because like wrestling, it's wrestling and then weight cutting. So it's two sports basically. And weight cutting, it's like you make your weight and then you try to keep your weight down as much as you can, but it's kind of hard, especially if you're cutting a lot of weight. And you gotta like know how to cut like down and like eat the right things and drink the right things and like keep your body good for cutting weight and stuff. And so you're healthy too, because you don't want to cut a bunch of weight and then be weak and fit like because yeah.
What did you wrestle at, Tomas?
138.
Oh boy.
What do you weigh now?
Like 57.
Yeah, weight cutting is definitely the worst part of wrestling. Fortunately, I was able to go up a weight class in the year this past season and the year before. So I wrestled 160 last year, and then I cut to 52 for states, and I wrestled 70 this year and cut to 60. So when you cut weight, you definitely have to know how to focus on your technique and everything you're doing at practice rather than focus on weight cutting, and that's what a lot of people struggle with. So it was a lot easier these last 2 years rather than my first 2 years, and I could just focus more on wrestling and just give everything I had in practice instead of just killing myself and just like trying to cut weight.
Talk about weight cutting, because when people think of wrestlers cutting weight, they're thinking about running with garbage bags on. I mean, what are some of the ways that you guys can cut weight in a way where it doesn't affect you performance-wise? I mean, is it just as simple as watching your nutrition and then working out, working out one-on-one, working on your technique? Is that as simple as it is?
You have to go as hard as possible at practice while doing just as good as technique. So that's a key factor. And then you have to watch what you're eating. My dad stresses that a lot. So not only can you have to eat healthy food, but you have to eat smaller proportions. And you definitely have to run a lot. It's almost like we're in cross country too at the same time that we're wrestling, because it takes that much to lose the weight. And I feel like I can gain weight a lot easier. Well, I can definitely put weight on a lot easier than I can lose weight. So it's pretty tough overall.
Kind of like what you said with like having to watch your nutrition and everything. Like as long as you keep your food in check, I mean it's more or less than just watching what your weight is at the time. And like a lot of top athletes say, like you're gonna have to be willing to give up extra time just to be where you want to be. And if you want to make weight and say you're a pound over the night before, you might have to run a little bit just to get that off. So it's just a bunch of running and just keeping
discipline.
it down.
It seems like a lot of discipline as well.
very much.
Logan, are you planning on staying at 120, or are you going to be going up a little bit?
I'm not sure right now because I usually weigh around 124, 125 at the moment. I haven't really grown much. I try and eat as much as I can, and apparently I don't gain weight no more.
Just wait.
Yeah, it's just look at the four of us. It'll happen.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Wait a minute. I was 275 in high school. I was fine.
Wow.
Right around my
Apparently I hit a nerve here. Gee, okay, I'm the fat one here. Whatever. God. Stop playing soccer is what happens.
That's true.
Anyways.
Oh, my.
So, I mean, Nick, 4 times at state, state finals 4 straight times. That's not that doesn't happen. That's very difficult, and no less at 4 different weight classes, if I'm not mistaken. How are you able to progress from one, from your weight class as a freshman all the way to where you're at now? I mean, so many different. I mean, did all those in 4 different weight classes? You have to be wrestling so many more wrestlers in those weight classes as well.
Yeah, you see a lot of new faces as you jump weight classes. So, like we were just talking about, strength training in the summer is a big factor. You definitely have to, if you're going to go up in weight, you have to have a lot more strength at the same time. So, yeah, my dad helps me out with that a lot.
Is there
yeah, I was going to say, you guys going to state, who are some of the tough opponents that you guys face this year? I'm sure you guys had some battles throughout the season. Is there one guy that really gave you a tough test that went back and forth that you guys want to talk about? Oh, Coach Koshar, you want to tell us?
Well,
Coach agrees with what you guys have.
I lost 2 matches at Ironman against nationally ranked kids, so they're in the top 10, both of them. But regardless of that, Kyle Lawson was like a kid in my weight class. He was a 3-time state champ, and everyone was saying he was going to beat me and stuff. Well, not everyone. I didn't think so. But anyways, it sort of irked me the wrong way, and I disliked him, I guess you could say. And I wrestled him and I beat him 5-3. At a pretty big tournament, so that was cool. That was a pretty tough match. One that meant a lot to me.
Very cool.
Because he was a 3-time runner-up.
Yeah.
This kid was a 3-time state champ.
Oh,
and if they were to meet in the finals, no one's ever lost their 4th title in the state finals, and no one has ever been a 4-time runner-up. Something was going to have to give, but that kid never made it to the finals, and Nick did.
Okay. Very cool.
But like Nick said, he did beat him earlier.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Nick said, beginning of the season, I lost to Anthony Perrine. I kind of went back with him. I knew I was going to see him again, definitely at districts and at the state tournament. I went back with him. All of my matches were more or less close. It's just I kind of didn't wrestle my match. I made a mistake and kind of gave up points where I really shouldn't have. And then kind of like what Nick said with the Ironman, I lost the finals match to the number 1 kid ranked in the nation, so that definitely opened my eyes to, this is the level I'm going to have to compete at to be where I want to be later on in life.
My arrival was towards the end of my sophomore season this year. I met him at conference? Yeah, conference. And we didn't know much about him. He first cut down to 120 his first time at conference, so I didn't really know much about him. I went out there and he pretty much got me throughout the entire match, and I tried to make a comeback, but it didn't work out well, ending the match 8 or 9-11, something around there. And then comes districts, and it comes to the semifinals, and we're up against each other again. And my father, who's also my coach, tells me to always stay low and keep up the pressure on him and all. And towards the last 30 seconds, there was 3-1, and he goes to a fireman's carry or something like that to put me on my back. I defend that. He tries to go again, and I guess I reversed him, put him on his back, and scored 5 points there, ending the match 8-1.
Very nice. Yeah, that's huge. Nice work.
A rival for me, Gary Define from Perrysburg. We wrestled earlier in the year, or Maslin Perry. Yeah, he's from Maslin Perry. Same thing. No.
Almost opposite ends of.
Yeah, we wrestled early in the year, and we had a close match by like a couple points. And when I saw him at districts, I had him in like my match Dakota State basically, and I tried to like wrestle him differently than the last time, and it didn't work out so well and I couldn't like really come back from it in the match. I mean, if I could go back, I'd wrestle him the way I did the first time because I did a lot. It was a lot more effective, but yeah,
it happens.
Yeah,
you learn and
you live and you learn, I guess.
There you go.
Absolutely. We just want to say, on behalf of us, we say thank you very much,
thank
and
you guys.
congratulations on your guys' seasons.
And careers.
Seasons, careers. Logan, hopefully we'll be seeing you again
Yeah.
in the next coming years. And Coach Koshar, congratulations on another successful season, and definitely see you around for football season, I imagine. And
We'll have you guys back on
Yeah.
next year.
Absolutely.
Talk about next season.
Next season started for us on Monday. We
Nice.
took spring break off, and we started back up. Actually, Logan didn't take spring break off. He went to a tournament down in Pennsylvania. But the rest of the group started lifting Mondays and Wednesdays, and then we'll practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. We got our first tournament coming up the end of this month down in Columbus. And like I said, we're losing 6 seniors that helped over the years. But we got a good group of freshmen and sophomores that we're hoping are going to step up and looking for these guys to take over where these guys left off.
Nice.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
very good. We're going to wrap up this segment here. Thank you very much to the Brunswick wrestlers, Logan, Aaron, Nick, Tomas, Coach Koshar, Coach Mike back there, who's found a way to sneak away from this. I want to say thank you again. And we're signing off here from Z's Cream and Bean at 2706 Boston Road in Hinckley, Ohio. For Josh Jeffy, Rob Schraubman, and Sean Duffy, I am Ed Dick, and we will see you on the other side.